I got a guy that has come into the lobby here that knows a little bit about what I'm talking about. He was in quite a few of those one-play games. I remember a couple he won in 2017 with some great plays down the stretch, and that's Malik Rosier. Malik, welcome to CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Oh, man, doing great. Man, it was really refreshing today when we were talking to Tyler Van Dyke, and he said, hey, I'm working every week with Malik Rosier. And we were like, really? You know, we didn't know that. And, man, I imagine you got a lot of wisdom that you can impart on that young man. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, that was something that I was actually surprised that he even told people. That was something that I wasn't going to tell people because I didn't think it was anyone's business. I kind of just wanted to just help him get better from behind the scenes, but obviously he wanted to say so. Thank you, Tyler. But yeah, we do it every Wednesday. We actually got it coming up tomorrow, and it just depends. Sometimes we'll watch the first half of a game or the second half, and we'll just kind of go through live game reps, and then sometimes we compare the game reps between the game reps and the practice reps to see how fast they were and what the difference is and what he saw and different things like that. I let Coach Lashley and the coaching staff coach him through progression reads because I don't know why he's going where he's going, but I'll ask him hey man, why did you throw the left side fade? And he'll be like, oh, because I moved the safety to the right. I like my one-on-one matchup, so I work the fade. So it's just kind of just understanding how his brain ticks and helping him out in certain ways. I know there was one time on a fade ball in the red zone where his feet, he didn't get his feet around, and half of it was because he tried to do a play action, and I'm like, it's a red zone fade. If you think the linebackers can't get it, there's no reason to fake it. Now, if it's a red zone slant and he's going in towards the linebackers, then yeah, you need to fake it to get him down. But if it's a fade going to the outside, just get your feet set if you know you're going to take it. Just small stuff to help him be in better positions to throw or just speed up his mental processing because that's half the battle. A lot of people know what to do, but whenever you get in the games and things start to move faster, sometimes it's hard to really slow the game down and understand everything that you got to do because you got to know what everyone on the field is doing.
Now, obviously, you have a real unique perspective that you're bringing to the table here. I mean, you were coach for all those years and worked on all these different mechanical things, and I'm sure they jump off the TV screen to you right away when you're watching it. Here you have a kid who's playing for the first time. His mind has got to be racing like crazy, performing unbelievably under those circumstances. But the little mechanical things are likely probably to break down, right, Malik, when you just got so much going on?
Because, when you watch Donovan Spencer, you guys can go back and even look at the UNC game and even the Virginia. There's so many throws to where he's making incredible throws, but it's all arm. And I tell him, man, listen, you're God gifted, you're blessed to able to have that ability. That was something I didn't have. I didn't have the arm strength nor the arm control to be able to have my feet pointing left and throw a go ball right. Just some people can't do that. Fortunately, Tyler can. So I'm trying to get him to where his feet are aligned to where he can make that throw 10 out of 10 times and basically put it where he wants to put it. Because I'll ask him, hey, that ball was caught, but was it where you want it to be? Was it the exact spot? Was it a little low, a little high? And then he's like, yeah, I missed kind of here. Even though it was a catch, it wasn't where I wanted it. And then we kind of break down why. And so he understands why he's getting the results instead of just yet telling him, this is what you need to do. It kind of explains it. And so I try to go in depth. He's definitely a cerebral kid. He wants to learn as much as he can. Any way he can get better, he's trying to. So, I really enjoy working with him. He's very humble. I don't think that the winning has gotten to him. I think he just wants to keep on getting better and keep helping his teammates around him. So I think he's gonna be really successful at what he does.
The last 2 weeks, he's completed 76% of his passes. He's averaging 375 yards a game, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. So something that everybody's doing right with him, whether it's Rhett Lashley, whether it's yourself, is working. I mean, he was in a game on Saturday on the road at Pittsburgh where he had to be at his best because he was playing against a quarterback that was putting up, 515 yards and an offense that was, really humming pretty good in Pittsburgh. And he didn't blink, man. I mean, he didn't blink. And I'm assuming you were watching on TV. And what's going through your mind now that you're working with him as you're watching the level that he was playing at on Saturday. It was like almost uncanny.
It's kind of weird. So last year, I'm just gonna say this. Last year I was on staff at Georgia, and I was around those players, and now I kind of get even more of a personal feeling because now I'm actually like coaching, and like I'm really in Tyler's life, and like I'm like seeing him develop, and it's almost like watching your kid grow up. Because I remember we working in the summer when Tyler was just a backup, and he didn't know whether he was going to get in or not, or like what games he was going to get in. Now seeing him just like grow up and having to like learn full game breakdowns and really understand it. Like you just see him grow from like one stage to another. So I think that's really cool. And I like really enjoy seeing people grow on a mental level and just understanding the game, because the biggest thing I can tell people, especially quarterbacks, is that whenever you get to college, everybody's talented. Everyone can throw far, whatever. The difference is your mental approach to the game. So that's the biggest thing that I'm trying to give Tyler, because he's physically gifted. The coaching staff's going to put him with progression plays that he can read. It's just about him doing his job and being fundamentally sound, because he was God gifted. So I think that he's going to get better. And going into next year, there's some flaws we got to pick, but I mean, he's doing a great job, and he's just competing. At the end of the day, most of the time, if you compete, you're going to win. You just got to just not give up. And
well, you used the word growth. I mean, this has been growth on steroids. I mean, this is a kid that was quiet, didn't really, just stayed to his business, wasn't flamboyant or anything, was splitting second team reps all through the spring and fall and into the season, and splits reps in the Central Connecticut State game. And then Jake Garcia, who, and I said this earlier in the show, I know you weren't on, but like, I think if you had taken a poll, if there's like 150 people between trainers and coaches and players and everybody in the program, if you had taken a poll in early September of those 150 people anonymously, who do you think is going to be the leader of this team in 2022? I think at least 75%, maybe more, would have anonymously written in Jake Garcia. And the reason was probably not because one stood out above the other from an athletic standpoint. I mean, when you watch practice, they were almost identical. They could both make all the throws and everything. It was because of Jake's personality, his flamboyance, the relationship he had with his teammates, clearly, potential leadership skills and things like that. I think almost everybody would have said Jake Garcia. And now all of a sudden Jake gets hurt, and now De'Ara King gets hurt. Now all of a sudden Tyler Van Dyke is the quarterback, and this kid just totally transformed himself, Malik. I mean, he's come out of his shell. Everybody says it. They're seeing a personality in him that they didn't know existed. He's become. They voted him a team captain. Okay, a freshman quarterback. They voted him a team captain. And now all of a sudden he's talking to everybody on both sides of the line of scrimmage. I'm hearing a total transformation has taken place. Have you seen this in the FaceTime sessions that you're doing as well?
I can definitely say, yeah. I would say the biggest thing is that, at first, whenever we first started during the FaceTime sessions, it was really because we couldn't work in person. So like I said, we were working in the summer, and then I was starting around and training and everything. I was down there, but we didn't have time to train because just physical wear and tear on his body. I'm not trying to bang up his body or hurt him in any type of way. But I was like, if I can't work you physically, then we can do mental stuff. We started here and there just doing a couple Zoom calls, and then after he started getting his starts, he was like, I want to make this mandatory. I like it a lot. So that's when I started saying, okay, like, it's finally good to know that you're serious, because I'm always going to offer you stuff, but I'm never going to make it mandatory. As soon as you want it mandatory, I'm there. We'll work through whatever you want to work through it for as long as you want to work through it. But it's like, that to me was a big step for him when he was like, I want this to be mandatory because I realized that it helps me. To me, that was like a big part of the mental game. And so I've definitely seen that growth. Not as much as the personality side, because we don't talk like each and every day. But I think that has to come with confidence. I think Tyler understands what it's like to be a leader. And sometimes whenever you're not the leader, kind of like how De'Ara King was, it's kind of like, should I say this? Should I say that? Because if I make a mistake and this is a starter, then like I look bad. But I think the fact that he's succeeding, he's confident, he's able to speak his mind and speak it freely because he can talk the talk and now walk the walk. And so it's like, I think that's why you're seeing his personality is just his confidence. He's able to just go in there and speak freely and know that he can back it up.
And you made that transition yourself, so you probably can help him a little bit in that regard, right?
Yeah, no, I can. I mean, he does a great job. My biggest thing is I want Tyler to be his own person. I got kind of upset because I know people were comparing him to like Ken Dorsey, and like that's cool, but like I want Tyler Van Dyke. No, seriously, it's cool, but like think about it. Like when you think about Alabama's quarterback Bryce Young, do they compare him to AJ McCarron? Do they compare him or even to any of the greats Alabama had? You think of Georgia, you think of Ohio State with C.J. Stroud. Like they say that's C.J. Stroud. They don't compare C.J. Stroud to Justin Fields or whoever. And it's like they let those players be those players. They don't try to put them in a past tense category because like the game has changed. Like I talked to Ken Dorsey. Like you go talk to Ken Dorsey and ask him, has the game changed? He'll say yes. Like the offense I ran, defense that I saw was completely different. So it's like I get the comparison, but also like I want Tyler Van Dyke to be Tyler Van Dyke. I don't want him to be anyone else besides himself. So just what I thought and had to say.
All right, just to put all this in perspective for everybody, you're working with, I guess, a company operation called Quarterback Country. It's run by quarterback guru David Morris, who's worked with a lot of different guys through the years. Currently, he's training Mac Jones, for example, a pretty experienced guy. And he's got you running the state of Florida, from what I understand?
Yeah. So I run the entire state of Florida. So basically, any kids besides, he has some of the panhandle because Mobile is closer to like Pensacola than me. But for the most part, Central Florida, South Florida, even North Florida, all those kids, they train with me. So we have quarterly meetings. We do in-person group sessions. So actually when Mac Jones and Davis Mills were training for their NFL prep in Mobile, I was there with them. So I was there for like a month and a half, 2 months. And like each day I was up there. I was in the morning sessions. I was in the meeting rooms. I was in the NFL draft stuff because I eventually want to get to where I'm taking my college quarterbacks and putting them into the league and helping them go beyond college. So I'm learning from David, and obviously his track record has been great. So it's like every time I get a chance, I try to learn more and more from him so that I can help guys like Tyler and other guys like N'Kosi Perry and Jaron Williams that I also train just become better quarterbacks.
And these are just college quarterbacks you're working with, right? Not high school kids?
No. I actually go all the way down to, I would say 12 years old. And then I have another company that I'm actually created that targets kids between 2 and 11. And
wow.
I heard you actually guys talking about quality control guys and like staffing. And I'm actually making a company that's potentially going to help with that as well. So I'm in cahoots with the University of Miami to get that up and running and see what we can do.
Wow. So you're becoming quite the entrepreneur, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta stay busy. Like I love to think. I'm definitely a cerebral mental guy. So it's like I try to find ways, one, that I can make money, but secondly, impact as many people as possible. So like I said, okay, quarterbacks I can take between ages 12 to whenever, and I need a company that targets younger generations so I can help them become the person they want to be whenever they get older. And then obviously I love Miami, so we're doing some of the kind of youth networks that Rick brought back with some different entrepreneurs and guys like College Hunks and some other different big organizations that want to help college kids after college. So this won't be stuff that directly affects current players, but guys like myself or people that didn't go to college, give them a chance to have an actual like job right off the bat. You know, sometimes that transition is hard from going from being a college athlete to being just a normal everyday person. And like I'm trying to bridge that gap with this company and as well as do some other stuff with it. But there's a lot of stuff going behind it, but should be interesting. I'm definitely trying to help the University of Miami football because I think the staffing part. So I do plan on touch on that. I don't know if you want to or not, but that actually intrigued me.
Good.
So I'll kind of break this down. It's the first month that we're doing this, so I would say it's not a matter of Manny Diaz, Rhett Lashley, offensive defensive coordinators. I know everyone wants to blame them. Everyone wants to say, "Oh, it's their fault." You can say what you want, but to a sense, to me, after being at Georgia, when we were like in like the recruiting room and in like the film room, like we were almost 3 deep. Like there was 3 guys working with tight ends, like just helping them with like film breakdowns, studying, helping them with just like small tedious tasks that like our coaches are having to do on their own. And that was something that was really eye-opening to me when I was at Georgia, was that the coaches, it wasn't that they had free time, but just tasks that were tedious but that had to get done was trickled down to guys like me, where like I would say, okay, Todd Hartley's talking to a recruit, so I'm helping them make the installs. But like sometimes there's a coach at Miami that might not have someone underneath him that can then help him with installs or help him maybe go do something or help him run a task. And so I'm trying to develop a company that not only helps Miami, but like gives funds to universities to help them with all sports and help them get like quality control guys and GAs and QCs that can really, and even recruiters for Miami, because that's what we need as well. We need guys that can go in and grab kids from Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, California, basically anywhere. And my company is trying to involve all that into one. So I actually have been in talk with guys like Blake James and compliance at Miami about just helping build bigger staff, not only with the football team, but just across sports in general.
All right, so we talked a little bit about Tyler, and now he's got 4 more games to play this year. He's played 4. He's got another 4, and you know as well as anybody, 1 week has nothing to do with the next. And stringing these games in succession and playing at the level he's been playing the last couple of weeks, it won't be easy. I mean, it's going to be a challenge for him, no question about it.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. You know, after each win, like I remember after the first one, I was like, this is just the beginning. Like enjoy the win. I'm not telling you not to enjoy the win, but when midnight hits and it becomes Sunday, just know that's a new week, which means there's a new opponent, which means it's time to start all over again. And that's like the biggest thing to teach him is to, one, not only enjoy the celebration, but understand that there's an offensive coordinator, well, really for him, a defensive coordinator that's there on Sunday morning, whipping up every defensive scheme and everything that he can do to beat you on Saturday. And so it's like, just the way he's preparing, you got to prepare that same way to beat him on Saturday. So I think he's done a great job in just embracing it and being understanding, saying, yes, I won. I'm glad I'm going to celebrate it, but like, I'm hungry for the next week, because I think that's the biggest thing, that he wants to get better from week to week. Like, he wants to get better from last week to this week to next week. And I think that's like the biggest thing I've seen change in Tyler, is that like his just eagerness to get better because he's succeeding. I think that he's enjoying to play football.
Well, you know, it's like, I think back to 2017, you guys are 10-0. You know, you pull out the Florida State game, you pull out the Georgia Tech game, you're number 2 in the country, almost number 1 in the country, really, and you're going to play a Pittsburgh team that you guys were expected to beat, and they just totally handed it to you on that given day. And that's the way that almost every season in the last decade really has been from Miami football, Malik. And you know, it's like, talk to us for a minute about the ACC and the Coastal and all these close games and why they all seem to go down to the wire and get decided by 1 play or 2 plays here or there. Now that you have the opportunity to reflect back and you get to also watch what continues to go on, explain the ACC and the Coastal Division to us, because I think a lot of us are mystified.
Do you want the honest answer?
God honest, I really do.
Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you. We're not winning in the trenches. To me, the only school in the ACC that generally wins in the trenches week after week, year after year, is going to be Clemson. It's just that's how it is. When you think about Georgia, you think about Alabama, where do they beat you at? Like, our skill players are just as good. Like, we got 4 and 5 stars at our quarterback, at our running backs, at our receivers. Okay, that's cool, that's fine. But it's like, if you don't have guys to consistently and dominantly protect your quarterback, you're going to lose. If you don't have guys, and I'm not knocking any of our defensive linemen, because I know we have great ones. Like, we bring out freak defensive ends every year. D lineman is great. But it's like, I think that when you watch teams like Georgia, like, we probably rotate, 2 or 3 guys in outside of the 4 starters. You look at Georgia, and like J.D. Davis, who's their best defensive lineman, doesn't even start for them. He rotates in on 2nd and 3rd down. And J.D. would be a starter that we wear out every play, but because of their identity and understanding that the only way to win football is to win the trenches, whether you're in the I formation or the spread, you got to win in the trenches. And I feel like, to me, a lot of us is we focus on getting the 5-star safeties and corners and receivers, which is fine, and you definitely need them. I promise you do. But I feel like, to a sense, is that we got, at least from my understanding, is that after being at Georgia, you got to push for the interior guys. Those are the guys that make and break you. Like, year in 2017, we had R.J. McIntosh and Kendrick Norton. Disturbances all game, all day. You couldn't block them. Same way we played Clemson. Their front 4, you couldn't block them. It's just like, when you have guys up front that you can't block, it doesn't matter what 5-star you have, because now your corners can play a little looser because they understand it's more quick game being thrown, because the quarterback doesn't have 4 seconds to do a double move with a receiver because he's going to be sacked. So to me, I think that's where the biggest in the ACC and I didn't say Miami, but just in the ACC, I feel like we have great skill players. Think of Florida State, in UNC, everything is skill based. There's nothing that like deals with the trenches. And you go look at the SEC, and it's the complete opposite. They have good skill players, but they produce a lot of top offensive linemen and defensive linemen consistently each and every year. So I think that's where like I kind of wish that. I'm selfish to Miami, but I wish that we would mold more of our senses to get bigger and better D linemen. I know we have great ones, and I think that like guys like Ford are big and they're bruisers and they're guys that we need. But I think we just need to be deeper. We need to get more young guys active, and I think that'll help us in the ACC. So I know that's what we're lacking is interior defense and offensive linemen.
And that becomes a recruiting situation. I mean, it's hard to get those guys. There's not a lot of them in the southern half of Florida, and you got to be able to go outside of South Florida and battle it out with the big boys, right?
Well, yeah, you do, which is why I was saying like my company, like I've already talked to 3 or 4 guys that I'm in potential of bringing back. Just know they're at some SEC schools. They're at a couple of them are at some highly ranked SEC schools. Like I'm not going to say which and where, but those are guys that like they can go into states like Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia and grab kids out. You know, like I remember there was a 4-star linebacker from Alabama that like because he went to my high school, I was able to offer him, and Georgia was in his top 3 just because of that. So it's stuff like that. Not just because of that, but that was like one reason was because we had that mutual connection, and he felt comfortable with like reaching out to Georgia and instead of going to Bama. His name was Shamar James. You can look him up, went to Faith Academy, linebacker. Like I offered him when I was at UGA because I was in the recruiting world. So like I've seen everything, and I know how others like SEC schools like Georgia, I know how they operate. I know what they look for. I know exactly. So it's like I'm trying to bring guys with like-minded minds because that's what we're trying to get. So I heard you guys talking about earlier, like we're trying to be like Bama. We're trying to be like Georgia. Okay, so let's go out. Let's get guys that are at Georgia and at Bama. Let's bring them back, and let's bring them to here because honestly, like I know personally a lot of people, not saying they're at Georgia, but at other universities that are very successful that want to come back to Miami. And so like I'm trying to bring them back in any way I can to help one with recruiting because that's some of their love is their passion is recruiting and getting kids and helping kids develop throughout college. So it's like bringing in guys like that, not even saying coaching staff, but just guys that will help us recruit and go on to states like Alabama and pull an offensive lineman out that in the past has gone to Bama or Auburn or LSU or somewhere. So
you're talking support staff?
Yeah, I can't do grad assistants because grad assistants they're actually like students, but like QCs and recruiters, we're trying to build a company that slowly helps them integrate into Miami because Miami's a hard city, man. It's the second highest like living city in the U.S. after L.A. or maybe New York. I don't know. I know we're number 2 with living costs, living expenses. So it's just like find different ways that we can implement different stuff to help them. We'll see how it goes, but it's been very positive so far. I've already talked to a couple of top-ranked guys, and they're definitely interested in coming down. So it's just about just getting everything going, really, to be honest.
So you're talking almost about a placement service like there are in many industries, a placement service for football programs for support staff people.
Well, it's more so yes and no. It is that, but it's almost like an educational stuff because, like, okay, so I'll put it like this. There's guys like Brandon Loomis, right? Brandon Loomis went to University of Miami. He was a support staff guy, helped out a lot, but it was also like him, like I said, with the players. Like, once you're done with football, like, we're trying to help everyone after. So it will be stuff to where, like, hey, like, we have a way to help you guys come down here. But also it's like, hey, like, if you guys come down here and let's say 3 years from now you don't get the coaching job because not everyone is meant to be a college coach, even though you can be really good at what you do. And it's just like we want to help you after that football as well. But, yeah, to a sense, it kind of is. It'll be a way for us to at least help out and do stuff for different people. Not all of them will be quality control staff. It'll be people all across the board throughout Miami as well. But it'll be also a way for us to help guys that are quality control guys that need help at the University of Miami so we can get guys back that'll really help us. So it won't be just for them, it'll be for everybody, but they will be a target that we also target as well.
All right, Malik. Well, we thank you so much for your time tonight, and if we can ever help you in these endeavors, you just let us know, and maybe we'll have you also one night we do a show with Lamar Thomas on Wednesday nights. That's a real hoot, and I know he would love to hear about some of the stuff you're doing, so maybe we'll have you on that show as well one week.
Love to. Yeah, no, I'm going through the process now with some business guys. I'm actually in Tampa right now. We're flying out for Augusta and and we're going to sit down for like 3 days and really get to work and get the business model going. And I'm not going, but finalize this week. So I would definitely love to get on a call and we can go more in depth on it.